Hello, this is the first video in my OC lore explaining series. This series is mainly being made so that people can understand my OC lore videos that I may post in the future a bit better, as they may be a bit confusing if you don't know the full story. Some of my OC's lore may not be finished yet, which is the case for the majority of my OCs, if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, little trigger warning before we begin. There is talk of anorexia, self-harm, child abuse and neglect, and the death of a parent. So if any of that triggers you, I would suggest you leave the video. But I will just start with the app session. So the first OC I'll be covering is Silas, my favorite OC. I'll start with the basic information. His full name is Silas Kane Johnson, he/him pronouns. He is 25 years old. He is trans, masc, and bisexual. He is married to one of my other OCs, Sparrow, and he is about 5'9", or about 176 centimeters tall. Moving on to the more in-depth stuff, he was born May 17th of 1999, his little sister Rachel being born about 3 years after him on November 5th of 2002, named Catherine Kane Johnson by his father. He lived a pretty normal life up until a day when he was about 6 years old. His father went on a business trip planning to come back after 2 days, but he never did. The day his father was supposed to return, his mother received a call about him, saying that he had passed away in a car wreck the day before. After that, Silas's mom was never really the same. She was much more cold and distant, ignoring Silas more and more and when he tried to talk to her, she'd yell at him. By the time Silas was about 8, he'd already knew he'd have to raise his little sister by himself, who was 5 at the time. He did all he could to take care of her, wanting the best for her. When he was 11 and his sister was 9, he decided to go to, a witch, or a spellcaster, a witch, who granted him the ability to watch over his sister whenever he pleased, with the small price of putting a permanent third eye on his chest. Throughout the next few years, from when he was 12 to 16, he would look over Rachel restlessly, even missing school to do so if he felt it was needed. During this time, his mother got worse and worse, becoming very religious and trying to coax him into surrendering and becoming a part of a religion he personally did not believe in, making his mother quite angry. Around this time, Silas also began to develop anorexia and would self-harm as a coping mechanism. By the time he was 17, his mother's neglectfulness and hatred towards him turned into abusive tendencies, eventually causing him to go into a deep depression, one he was trying to repress for most of his life. When he was 18, he moved out and found a job at a circus as a music performer. While he was confused as to why a circus would need music performers, he took the job without hesitation, desperately needing a job, not knowing that he would be forced to stay with said circus forever until, under contract, he simply didn't feel like reading when it was received. He had to wear a black choker 24/7, though when he put it on, instead of it feeling like a choker, it just felt like his skin, like it had become a part of him. At some point when he was 20, his mom found him in the circus and came to see him, yelling at him for leaving and calling him a disappointment. But she was interrupted by a man with a quite unique appearance. I will show a picture of him because I do not feel like explaining how he looks. He dealt with Silas's mother and got her to leave him alone. Sparrow and Silas introduced themselves, though Silas introduced himself as Catherine, as he knew he was trans but was too scared to tell anyone. About 4 months later, though, he decided to cut his hair short and buy a binder, feeling like his true self for the first time in forever. He came out to Sparrow a few days after this, and Sparrow was extremely supportive, calling him Silas and using the correct pronouns. A few months after that, Silas came out to his mom, knowing he shouldn't, but not caring, as he wanted her to know anyways. After he told her, she was disgusted, yelling at Silas before slapping him across the face. Sparrow was around when this happened and was understandably furious when she slapped Silas, and being the protective friend he is, he yelled at Silas's mom, not caring what happened to him, protecting Silas from her, arguing with her until she left, hugging Silas immediately after, hating that he had to deal with having a mother like that. Soon after this incident, they got a restraining order against Silas's mother and got in contact with Rachel, telling her to move out as they knew it wasn't a safe environment, and Rachel was now 18. When Silas was 21, he and Sparrow started going out, and they got engaged only 2 years later, getting married a few months after that on October 14th of 2024. Silas is still working as a music performer in the circus, and Sparrow is still a tightrope performer there, as they technically can't quit. Sorry if I didn't mention Sparrow's job, by the way, but this isn't his lore video. Silas currently is recovering from his anorexia, and that is mainly shown by him gradually gaining a bit of weight every time I draw him. So I think that was pretty much all of Silas's lore. I hope you enjoyed learning about him, as this took about 3 years to complete his lore, though I'm sure I'll add more in the future. Anyways, thanks for watching my little dinos, and have a great day/night.